to start again. You're just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
All right, so the way the program's going to work is we're going to start with a speaker, Mr. Holst, who has a couple kids here, Willow and Theron. So he is going to be our first speaker, and then after that, Mrs. Reynolds, who's a first grade Spanish teacher, her husband, Mr. Reynolds, is going to sing the Star Spangled Banner. And after that, we're going to move right to our student singers, following the student speakers. Following the speakers, that's when we'll have our GVA choir. So I'll turn the time over to you. Thank you, Mr. Holst.
Good morning. I am the proud father of Willow Holst, who's in 4th grade Chinese, and Theron Holst, who's in 1st grade Chinese. Just to kind of give you a little background about myself. Went to West Point, which is the United States Military Academy, right out of high school. I commissioned as an infantry officer. What is an infantry officer? An infantry officer is on the ground, leading troops, leading 11 Bravos, which are your infantrymen. And the great thing about now is that both men and women can be infantrymen. Infantry people. I don't know if we've changed the name yet. I started out as an infantryman, did all the schools, jumped out of airplanes, rappelled out of helicopters, fast roped out of helicopters. Had a lot of great opportunities. Been stationed all around the country, Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Wainwright, Alaska, and spent a year in Afghanistan. During that time, you know, I've spent time away from my family. I know that they've sacrificed. Willow was a little girl, and she had to spend time away from me, both when I was in Afghanistan and also various training events. So not only do the actual service members sacrifice, but our families sacrifice as well. Another great thing about the Army is that there are many opportunities to change what you're doing. So after 5 years as an infantry officer, I was fortunate enough to change. I went to law school and now I'm an attorney for the Army. There are lots of different jobs that veterans have done. We have, various services. We have the United States Air Force, we have the United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, and the United States Army. So there are many opportunities. I would encourage each and every one of you to consider joining the armed forces and becoming a veteran yourself. Many veterans have given much more than I have. Friends who've died, friends who've sustained serious injuries. So just keep in mind the sacrifices that the actual veterans themselves have made for your freedom, for your rights, and also remember the families and the sacrifices that they made. Thank you very much, and we all appreciate your support.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, so if everyone can have a seat, it's now time for our student speakers to talk. Now, it takes a lot of courage to be willing to get up here and talk, speak in front of a big group like this. So while the students are speaking, just like you were respectful when Mr. Holst and Mr. Reynolds were doing their portions of the program, I need you to please be respectful while these children are speaking. Shh. All right, so we are going to start with Alina. Alina, can you please stand up, hon? All right, Alina's in our German kindergarten class. So this is yours. Do you know what it says, honey?
Thank you for protecting our country.
Very good. Liam Bird.
I am thankful for our military men and women because they protect the USA.
Dakota Fleming. Dakota Cordova.
I am thankful for our military men and women because the military serves our country well and fights for us. There are 5 militaries.
Excellent. Let's do Trevor.
thankful for the people in the military. My dad helped people. My dad cared about people. My dad loved me. My dad was a good man, and he loved his country.
Mila?
Veterans Day means so much to me because they do so many things for our country. I've known 2 veterans and 1 serviceman. Their names are Ildiko Markowski, Rip, and they are veterans. Paul Markowski is a serviceman. Military fight for our country. They have to stay strong. Some fight in wars, others fight for our country's freedom. Military people do a lot for our country. Military fight for our country even though they can die and stay strong and keep our country strong. I feel sad when one of my parents go to fight, but I stay strong and pray for them.
All right, Grace Crabtree.
Military. I am thankful for all people that served in the military. My family is inspirational. They taught me all of our history, and I was inspired by them. I decided to tell you how much I'm thankful for the people in my life that have served and are still serving to this day. My grandma's brother was a Marine. He got sent by his parents. He retired a long time ago, but he did have bladder cancer. He survived. He was very strong that day. My mom was also a tough person in the military. She was a nurse, and she helped a bunch of people. My uncle also served in the military. He pulled through many rough patches. This was about the USA and how they continue to serve our nation. You put your arms around us. It does not matter if you walk or sail or fly. You just do your best to protect this community.
Kirsten Black.
We are thank you for your service. Thank you for keeping America safe from foreign powers. My grandpa was in the Vietnam War. He had to suffer his friends dying. Thank you for sacrificing your lives for us.
And Sophia Forgan.
I appreciate veterans and active soldiers in many ways. One of these reasons is because they go to war and either sacrifice themselves or damage themselves for us. They also leave their families just to help the United States, even though they should spend time with their own families. They work almost all day and some all night to protect us from harm. A lot of them fight for our rights, even if it means sacrificing themselves. We salute you. We should all be thankful for what these active and veteran soldiers have done for us. Saved us, kept us safe, and will do anything for the United States of America. Thank you. Love you, Daddy.
All right, I'm going to excuse our brave readers to go sit with their classes. So Grace, Trevor, Kirsten, Sophie, Mila, sorry. Yes. Liam and Dakota, let's give them one more round of applause. All right, and now Mr. McCall has worked with some of our GVA students. They are going to be singing America the Beautiful.
We have a lot of students who volunteered to join a choir today just for this program. So all of these kids are here because they chose to do this themselves. They sacrificed part of their special time last week to rehearse for this. And all of them are here of their own choice. We're interested in all of us stage. A lot of people wanted to sing today.
So in case you didn't hear, what Mr. McCall was saying is that all of these students volunteered to be part of this choir to sing for today because they were excited to sing to the crowd and also to show appreciation to our servicemen and women and veterans. So Mr. McCall is going to lead them in this song. Excellent work, GVA Choir. And Mr. McCall, let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you. All right, students, if you're going to go out the same way you came in, and you can go sit back down. And the last thing that I would like to do is if all of our military servicemen and women, whether they're retired or active duty, if you could come to the stage, please. We would like you to introduce yourselves. So everyone who has been in the military, past or present, if you could please come up here. All right, students, class. Thank you. All right, so students, these are parents and grandparents of kids who go to GVA. I'm going to pass the microphone down if they can each say their name and what they've done in the military. And all of you, if you could please listen.
Hello, my name is Tab Hall. I was a cook in the Army, 17 plus years. I don't know, it was fat, so I'm going to go home.
Captain Ryan Hulse, United States Army, veteran of the war in Afghanistan.
Major John Haberlin. I'm in the Army. I'm a prosecutor.
Sergeant First Class Shanna Muggy. I'm a welder of the Colorado National Guard and a veteran of the war in Iraq.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Eric Tarnanen, B-52 pilot and currently a glider instructor here. I've served both in Afghanistan and Iraq.
I'm senior elementary school administrator for the Air Force Reserves.
Sergeant Megan Crabtree, 11 years with active duty and reserve Army, veteran of Iraq.
Fred Faithful, Air Force Academy, and nuclear missile launch officer and space operations for the United States Air Force.
Hi, Ron Sanchez, United States Marine Corps, 1st Recon.
Morning, I'm Master Sergeant Patricia Carrazzo Danner. I am currently in the Air Force stationed at Peterson Air Force Base. I do personnel work, and I am also a Navy veteran with Iraq, Desert Shield, and Desert Storm.
Good morning, I'm Staff Sergeant Castillo. 3 deployments to Iraq, I was infantry.
Hi, I'm Marcy Reynolds. I spent 4 years in the U.S. Air Force in communications. Hi, Captain Tanya Van Winkle. I did 10 years as an Army nurse. And Lieutenant Colonel Rick Van Winkle, retired Army.
Hey, yes, please give her a round of applause. Okay, so please have a seat, and then if all of you could please go out just outside the door, and you're going to form one line on each side towards the steps, so there's a line on each side, and all students, we're starting with kindergartners,